There was another championship that was given out this weekend down in D.C., and he's the son of a coach, and he is now a championship-winning coach. He's former Ravens quarterback, now the head coach of the United Bowl champion Louisville Kings. He's Chris Redman, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn back in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you again. Thank you for taking the time for us, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on, too. Really appreciate it, Glenn. And excited. What a heck of a year. It was a heck of a ride, man. We had a lot of fun, and great to top of the first year off with the Louisville Kings on top. It was an amazing year.
Chris, I brought up Jalen Brunson and his dad, but watching on Saturday and your dad being there and you being the son of a coach and the influence that he's had on your life, can you put that part of this into context for you being able to celebrate with him?
It was amazing. I mean, I talked to my dad literally multiple times a day. We were really, really close. I won a state championship playing for him in high school, and obviously he was there with me when I was at the University of Louisville and obviously in the Baltimore when I finished my career in the Falcons. He was there through all the ups and downs, and I think he always wanted me to get into coaching. And this year when I finally got my toes into the water with coaching, and when this new job came open for the Louisville Kings, he's really excited. And it's never easy. Obviously, we started off at 0-3, so we're like, man, what did I get into here? But we really had to dig deep, and he was a big inspiration part of me, and the reason that I'm here today for sure is because of him, and he helped me through a lot of decisions. So yeah, it's great to have your dad there, and he's a heck of a mind, and I actually put him in the category of Ray Lewis as two of the best motivators I've ever been around. He just had an ability to motivate.
That's impressive company. That's impressive company.
Yeah,
have you told Ray that you hold him in that? No, I was kidding. I was kidding about that. Chris, we had both Mac and Jamie on last week. This was one of my favorite stories of some time. Can you explain? You get this opportunity. There's a team in Louisville, a place I know how deeply you care about that place. How this came about that you said, if I'm going to do this, I want nothing but my former Ravens teammates to be on the sideline with me.
You know what? It was funny is because I was just in the Super Bowl reunion last year at the Pittsburgh game. I saw Chris McAllister. He talked about, getting back into coaching. He was talking with the Ravens a little bit, so I kind of put a little bit of bird in my ear. And then I talked to Brad Jackson. Me and him are really close, and I've talked to him all the time. And so I knew he was kind of involved in doing some scouting work and stuff like that, and knew a lot of players. And then, with Tony Banks, we were really close. And we only played together 1 year, but I somewhat stayed close. And he lived in Dallas, and it's kind of tricky with coaching. It's a lot to do with who lives there. And Tony and Chris McAllister both live in Dallas too. And so to get someone to move from their hometown to Dallas is a hard thing to do. But so it all just kind of worked out timing wise and knowing those guys and trusting Jamie. Jamie was in the UFL, so I thought it was like, man, it's a perfect fit. He was coaching special teams and linebackers. I'm like, he was on a championship team the year before. What a perfect fit that would be to be a coordinator, because he knows a lot of the guys and he obviously knows defenses. And so we mixed together, and I got a little bit of experience with offensive coordinator Steve Logan and Jeff Jagosinski, who was a coordinator for the Packers back in the day, and both of them have head coaching experience. So you put it all together, and it actually became a well-oiled machine. And we came together really fast, and real excited about the job they did, and surrounded myself with some incredible talent.
The five of you that were from the 2000 Ravens team, right? Like, I asked these guys the same question. That bond that you had, anything about that experience of having won a championship together before that you saw? I mean, we're talking about 26 years later, but like, did you see that like pay off for you guys in any particular way, or anything that as a team maybe you adopted that you feel like might have come from those experiences with the 2000 Ravens?
Absolutely. Just the camaraderie, and then the brotherhood that we had a long time ago. And I knew, that was an impressive and incredible team, the 2000 Baltimore, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They were an amazing group of individuals. that during the tough times. I knew they were going to be there because they were there when we went through a tough time in 5 games with no offense. Like we had our tough times as well. But I knew exactly what they would do, and I think they felt the same. We just there's definitely we picked it up right where we left it off. We have an incredible relationship. We're laughing. I mean, I feel like I'm back in the locker room again, which I kind of was, but we're more in the office with those guys, and it was an incredible experience. I'm just really happy that I put that group together, and they're a special group of coaches and people, and they knew what we didn't want to be good, we wanted to dominate on defense. That's just inherited from that mentality of that 2000 team, and I knew they would do that.
He is Chris Redman. He's with us here on GCR. Man, it's so interesting because I wanted to ask you next about facing that adversity, and you brought up the start, obviously 0-3, 1-4, but boy, that is a really fascinating comparison, right? Like, because the guys last week kept saying they gave you so much credit for how you handled that and didn't panic, and it's such a unique comparison to that stretch that you guys went through in 2000 where, like, nothing was working offensively, nothing.
Yeah,
and you couldn't score a touchdown. And it is like, were you really in a place where you weren't, at 0-3, you weren't panicked at all?
I wasn't panicked one bit because, two of those games we're talking like we fumbled on the 1 yard line on one. The other one, we lost in an overtime game by a referee called 2 penalties in overtime. So, which they ended up changing the rules 3 days later. So I knew we were close. I think there's a lot of teams that maybe people thought that they were out, or maybe not as good as they thought, and then some were probably a little better than they thought. So it was, it could have gone either way. It gave me an opportunity to make some changes I wanted to make, though. When we were 0-3, we switched quarterbacks, running backs, and our offensive line, and we just kind of kept getting better. And so, all those things kind of accumulated effect of all of us really figuring out what chemistry we needed. We put the right chemistry together, and then good things really started happening fast. But we wanted the right type of people too. We got rid of the guys that weren't team players, and we went to a group of guys that, hey, it's team first. And I think that really made a big difference as well. And that's where we kind of changed the culture, and all the coaches, they were bought in, and the players bought in right afterwards. Once they saw, like, oh, this is what it's going to take to make this team, and they really bought in.
Can I assume that then when you guys were down 16-7 at the half in the championship game, it was sort of a similar feeling of there is no need to panic about this, like we've had our backs against the wall?
Absolutely. That's your mindset now. I mean, for the rest, some people just panic, and it's funny, like, when things go wrong, whatever, it's just making some adjustments, and it's just, getting a few little changes. We know we were close at halftime. We were down, but not one person flipped out at all. We all stayed the course, got back on track, and man, we had an incredible second half, and what a celebration we had at the end of that to do that. And that game kind of summed up our year of a slow start, but man, finishing strong is by far the most important. We made that very, very evident that it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and that game was the same way.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Chris, I wanted to ask you about a guy that plays on the defensive side of the ball for you, who had actually spent a little bit of time in Baltimore. That's Corey Mayfield, who I know forced a fumble on Saturday and was a massive part of your team all season long. What makes that young man special, and how ready do you feel like he might be for like another opportunity in the NFL?
Yeah, he's a great player, very athletic. He was one of the top, either the top or the top two leading interceptions on defense. When he has a chance to make a play, he's going to make a play, and he's got incredible hands, which you can't say that about a lot of DBs. And so he's that guy, that playmaker that you need. And yeah, I think he's going to get another look in the NFL, and I think people are actually looking at him as we speak. So I'm real excited about him getting a chance. And that's the beauty of this league is, man, I just love to see guys getting opportunities to make it back in the league, and this is a vehicle that they could do that.
From you, I mentioned I remember bumping into you a few years back at the Derby at one point. I know how much you love Louisville. You'd win a race for mayor as long as Lamar isn't in it.
Yeah, that's right.
What does it mean? Like, can you put that part? Like, I know it's the UFL. I know it's not winning a Super Bowl for that city, but like it's still bringing a championship to a city, and a city that I'm gonna guess was embracing this, not having an NFL team. Can you describe that for you? What it means to do this for Louisville?
Yeah, well, it was a big deal. It was actually a bigger deal than I think I even thought, because how many people has reached out and been so supportive and came to the games, and even when we were down a slow start, they were right there tailgating and excited about it. Man, they have got on board now, and really excited that we finished the season off. And, I'm from Louisville. Lamar's not. Lamar is a great player for Louisville, and he's a great. But that's my hometown. Like when this coaching career is over, I'm going to live in Louisville. That's where I'm at, and so it means more to me. There's a lot of coaches in this league that coach for a city or whatever, but none of them coach from the city that they grew up in and played little league football and middle school and high school and college. My grandfather and my dad both played football and college, and I was the third generation to play at Louisville. So Louisville to me is a special place. And so it's even extra special to bring a trophy. I'm driving home right now with a big trophy in my front seat to take back, and everybody's so excited for me to bring it home. So that to me is a little bit more special than probably a lot of the other coaches around the league, I guess.
Man, that's cool, Chris. That is so cool. I hope you felt there are a lot of people back here in Baltimore that were really embracing you guys, and this story of y'all being together, it's just so cool, man. Like to see you guys win championship together, it's awesome. Congratulations, Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks as always taking the time for us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.